What is up, A-Team? Welcome back. AuzSOME here. Hope everyone's having an awesome day. So yes, we're here to talk more about some crypto. The cryptocurrency market is actually not looking too bad today. However, the stock market is looking pretty dang bad. Obviously, this is on the heels of the announcement with the tariffs and Liberation Day. A lot of people are pretty upset about where we're at in terms of the economy, in terms of where the markets are at. You had Donald Trump come out and talk about rate cuts. You had Jerome Powell now just speak about it. And it just seems like the markets are getting worse. However, I do want to say there is some positivity here in that the stock market and the cryptocurrency market have kind of depegged from each other today. Not saying overall, but I mean, today it seems like they're kind of depegging from each other, which is kind of what we want. More money's flowing into crypto, less money into the stocks right now. At least that's what it seems. But before we do all that, let's jump into here right now and actually see this. As you can see right here, we are at a 1.5% increase up to 2.66 on the day. So not too bad when you start to think about it. Obviously, the cryptocurrency market is looking a lot better than that of the stock market. You can see right here, the stock market is down on the Dow at 1,300 points on the day. S&P is over 209 points, and the Nasdaq's at 625. Over the last few days, you can see right here, yesterday, 2.85 trillion was wiped out of the stock markets yesterday, which is pretty dang crazy. This morning, when we woke up, obviously when the markets opened up, you can see right here that 1.5 trillion was actually liquidated in the market opening here today. So a lot of money being lost from the stock markets right now. It is kind of depressing to see, I will admit that. This is also on the announcement of the U.S. non-farm payroll data. And as you can see right here, actually, it was a pretty good number here. 228,000 non-farm payrolls was announced. We were expecting 137,000, but unemployment went up 4.2%. Expected was 4.1%. So not the greatest news when it comes to that either. But really, this has to do with what everyone's tracking right here, and that the Trump's tariffs and where this is actually causing some panic in the markets. What's even crazier about this is that we had Jerome Powell actually just come out and speak about this. And to some people, this is causes more fear. We were actually tracking below 100 points on the Dow. Jerome Powell came out and spoke, and we actually jumped back up to 1,400 points lost on the Dow today. And so you can see anytime Jerome Powell speaks, especially when it comes to the tariffs, especially when it comes to the rates, it gets a little concerning here. And really what it came down to is that Jerome Powell basically came out and said that tariffs will raise inflation in the coming quarters. So this is a concern. Obviously, we're worried about inflation. We're worried about what are we going to do? We're going to have more rate cuts. Are we not going to have any more rate cuts? What's going on here? Well, Jerome Powell came out and actually said that he expects President Trump's tariffs to raise inflation rates and lower growth. He also indicated that the central banks won't move on interest rates until it gets a clearer picture on the ultimate impacts. So that's actually kind of bearish news to hear. People are now saying that that could potentially look like we might not have any rate cuts this year. So that's a concern. People are throwing that out there. Whether that actually happens or not, I don't know. But there are people out here saying that that could likely happen. There is a massive probability, over 50% probability, that we have now gone into a potential recession. You can actually see right here that JP Morgan warns that there's a 60% chance that we now fall into a recession this year. So going back to this right here, obviously this is super important for us, that we want there to be rate cuts. We want the interest rates to come down. We do not want inflation. However, what's being actually put right here, along with what Trump is doing, is causing some panic in the market. That's really what's coming down to here. And so, unfortunately, like I said, you have Powell speaking about this. You have Donald Trump coming out here now and he's literally urging Federal Chair Jerome Powell to cut rates immediately, calling it the perfect time and accusing him of playing politics. This actually came out today, just a little bit ago. It said this would be a perfect time for Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. He is always late. But he could now change his image, and quickly. Energy prices are down, interest rates are down, inflation's down, even eggs are down 69%, and jobs are up, all within 2 months. A big win for America. Cut rates, Jerome, and stop playing politics. So you can see that he's obviously, that's Donald Trump's take on this whole thing. You got Powell out here who's like, hey, we're not going to do anything until we know what's going to actually happen in front of us. So this will be super interesting to follow. But I will say that Jerome Powell is winning the fight right now, and that's because you can see the stock markets are looking horrible right now. And the chances are getting even worse and worse. Like I said, Liberation Day here, there's a lot of people out here talking that we might not even have a single rate cut. I said this earlier on here, and it says the first reaction has been concerned about growth. We haven't had two other reactions yet. That will happen to growth in other countries, and what makes a question mark on whether the dollar weakness will continue. And then what does the Federal Reserves do? And he says right here, I think that if we're lucky that we'll get one rate cut, not four, and it would be a surprise if we do not get none. That's actually pretty shocking to hear. I mean, again, this is just one person speaking about it, but nonetheless, people are actually talking more and more about this. That's kind of where we're at right now. But the positive thing here is if you look back at crypto today, right, we would talk about the stock markets and how it's kind of, pegged to that of the S&P 500 and that of the Dow and everything like that. We obviously are following the trends of the stock market, but it is nice to sort of come back today and see that we've actually kind of depegged today. Everything seems to be back in the positive here. I mean, Bitcoin's back up 1% over the last 24 hours. XRP, dipped well below $2, now back up 6% on the 24-hour mark right here. So again, we said the $2 mark was kind of that. That's kind of the level for XRP. We've talked about it multiple times on the channel here. The $2 mark is where our levels are. You can see right here inside the channel of anywhere from 255 down to $2 is kind of where we've stuck, and it's been trading sideways inside that, basically inside this area for well over, what is this, December 1st. So, I mean, that's kind of where we've been. And you can see right now that every time we hit this $2, we obviously bounce back up pretty nicely. We'll see if we can continue the trend here. But yesterday, when everything came out, we went down to roughly about $1.95, back up to $2.12. So we have had a nice little bounce back here. HBAR, another one we've been tracking here. This thing dipped down to almost 15 cents, 15.2. Now this is back up to 16. Went up earlier today, went up almost to 16.7. So good things looking there. Bitcoin's another one, right? Bitcoin dropped pretty aggressively yesterday, but not that much. Went down to 81. Now back up to highs of 84, almost 85 after and then it's come back down slightly since the whole PAL thing. So we're starting to see that have some impacts as well. But a lot of the cryptocurrency market is starting to make a little bit of a comeback here. Some are obviously doing better than others. The ones that we're actually holding are doing pretty good. Obviously, XLM's coming back up here to 2.57% at the time of this filming. Chainlink, almost at a 2% right there, looking damn good right there as well. So I'm kind of excited to sort of see what happens here. Have we hit bottom when it comes to the cryptocurrency side? And I go back and I look at sort of where we're at from the liquidation standpoints in the last 24 hours. And right now we're at $249 million has been liquidated from the cryptocurrency market. And yes, it does suck to see some liquidations, but there'll always be liquidation. This actually isn't that bad. 249 million liquidated in the last 24 hours from the cryptocurrency side. That's telling me that more people are actually holding their positions and more long-term holds than that of people who are doing margin trades at this point. I think people are starting to understand that margin trading in this market is just not the right thing to do. It's not smart to do because most people are going to get liquidated, whether that market goes up or down. It's too volatile and it's too unpredictable. Even Trump has put out here that like this market is super, super unpredictable. No one knows what Donald Trump is going to do, and anything that he says can obviously cause the markets to significantly go up or significantly go down. And when you're trying to hedge that, or when you're trying to, time that, it just does not bode well for a lot of crypto traders. And we've seen that over the last few months now with the amount of liquidations that have happened in the market. So this is actually something to follow. If you guys haven't followed this, definitely go over. It's on CoinGlass here. Go follow the trends here, because this is really, I wake up and I look at the liquidations almost every morning. I mean, it's probably one of the first things I look at, and it just tells you, it gives you a general sense of where the market's at. So that's kind of where I go for it. But like I said, good to see Bitcoin back up, over the 24-hour mark. One thing I want to talk about today, and I think this is really a good thing here, is everyone's talking about the Ripple lawsuit and whether it's completely over or where we're at with it. Obviously a couple weeks ago, we had the announcement that Ripple and the SEC were going to be moving forward, and basically the whole case was going to be dropped. But nothing was actually said after that. So we came back here and it was like, okay, so what's the next steps here? And so some lawyers out there are basically saying that Ripple is the only party that has confirmed the dismissal of the appeal. So again, the SEC hasn't come out and confirmed it. You haven't had anyone else come out and confirm it. Only Ripple's the one that's saying this. So there's that. It says regulators have not officially confirmed whether or not they'll no longer pursue the Ripple appeal. It says, according to Ripple and other sources, the appeal dismissal decision required the commission's vote before it became official. So as you guys know, Paul Atkins has not been added to the SEC yet. So we're hoping that maybe he becomes the chairman of the SEC pretty quickly. But since he hasn't been there, obviously no decision's been made right here. And they've had these closed doors meetings that we heard back in March of 27 or March 27th of 2025 and April 3rd of 2025, but nothing actually came out of those closed door meetings. And that's kind of like, okay, when are we going to actually, hear some more news about this? It says right here that we're looking to be around roughly May of 2025 when we'll actually hear what's going to happen. So that's kind of what they're saying here, is that May 24th of 2025 is going to be the day that we make this decision. And the reason why is that he said that Judge Torres will have to approve the decision within the 30-day mark of this all. So whenever this actually happens, there's going to be 30 days roughly for Judge Torres to actually go through and basically make a decision as well. So now we keep kicking the can down the road. This is a little disappointing, I will admit, because every time we think that we're getting close with the actual dismissal of the XRP or Ripple case, it just seems like we kick the can further. So I'm hoping that May 24th, 2025 is the day that the SEC and Ripple case is officially over. Again, kind of sick of going back and talking about that, but I mean, I do hope that that actually comes to an end here. So yeah, with all that, there's a lot going on here in crypto today. I just want everyone to realize to just not panic. Do not do what Trump is saying China's doing here and panicking. As these markets continue to come out here and we start to see the volatility of the markets, just continue to hold your positions. This is the worst time that you could probably sell your position. Selling it when it's actually down right here, because people are stoking the fear of the bear market. You can see right here, Dow drops 1,200 points in bear market. So you're already seeing these tabloids come out here calling us that we're in a bear market, saying that we're in a bear market. This is all just a matter of fear and stroking the fear so that people actually lose their positions. I mean, this is all the mainstream media's way of getting people to get exhausted in their trades and get out of their positions, and then they're going to look back and be so disappointed that they got out. And that's typically what happens. I'm sure a lot of you guys have actually done that already, where you've got out of a position, you're going, damn, why did I get out of that position? I should have stayed in that position. But hopefully you guys have learned from that and don't do that. So really, for me personally, I'm going to be holding my positions. I have no reason to sell. I get all the fear that's out there. I get everyone talking about everything that's going on. But in all reality, we have a whole year left ahead of us. We know that there's going to be some rate cuts coming. We know that the economy is going to probably bounce back. Anytime they start talking about recession, anytime they start talking about a bear market, things like that, we most likely have already hit the bottom. And I already get that sense here when I look at crypto, when I look at Bitcoin, right? We've already kind of hit rock bottom here when it comes to that of Bitcoin. I mean, if we're in a bear market right now, then we've already hit bottom, I feel. XRP is bouncing nicely off this $2 mark. And actually, we haven't even created a lower low yet. Even on this last little dip, we haven't created a lower low. So XRP's chart is definitely looking even more, it's looking a lot better than it ever has before. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, with all that, make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you all being here. With all that, we're out. Peace out, everyone.